Hello, it's Wednesday, and yes, Medicinal Shy Guy, this is indeed Submarine Wednesday, and we're going to dive deep a little bit later, deep into the parts box to try to find parts. Oh, I need to switch that camera on. Try to find parts for the next part. The mess deck and bunk deck are almost completely done. So it says mess done, it's mess to be done. I should have said that. But I didn't, so it's I'm going to be finishing that today. So you might recognize this. You've seen it many times before. This is the list of a description of all of the parts that go into the mess deck. And I lost my chat screen. There we go. Which is only mostly in the way, and I can't get it to go. Can't get it to move for some reason onto the other monitor. It's been that way for a while. Anyway, it's in my way, not your way. So this is the mess deck, and if you might remember, last week, Wednesday, came really close to getting it done. So this is what all those itty-bitty parts look like. That's what this turns into. And we got the galley done. See all those cute little pots and pans and faucets and cabinets, and you can see the hanging meat back there and the cupboards. Yeah, so this is pretty much done. There are a couple of little bits I need to do yet. Ooh, I'd gotten that. Anyway, I did some filling in between now and then, and it looks like I need to sand that down. I thought I had gotten that. So there's a crack in here. You can see where the white is that I filled in, and there were some cracks up here that were open, and I filled those in. And now I need to paint those. Need to paint those so that they don't show, but I had thought that before the stream started today that I had, in fact, sanded down this little bit of a ridge here. But I probably did it in like dim light or something, and I didn't see it very clearly. So the first thing I'm going to do today, after I finish doing this thing that I should have done yesterday, is I'm going to touch up those parts where I filled in the cracks. I went out of my way to be prepared. Yeah, to be prepared for today's stream, and then I wasn't. Oh well, that's how this goes sometimes. There was just an unevenness there that was going to show pretty significantly. Anyway, I need to get a little bit of white paint in these corners here, and then a little bit of light blue paint onto the areas there. And there's a tiny bit there that became a flaw after I cemented this part in. So I'm going to do those two bits of touch up. And then the other thing I need to do, this is a large thing in terms of quantity, is I need to paint the underside, which looks pretty scabby right now. So I filled in all these holes. Okay. So that was a nice smooth surface, because when this is inserted into the submarine, you'll be able to see at least the first inch or so of that. And these actually get painted, like there's 3 different colors here. This is a ballast tank, and so this part gets painted the dark gray, which is the hull color. This is the bunk room. This thing goes underneath like this. Okay. You can see that it's kind of a crowded area there, but there it is. And then this part here is a mechanical area that's called a servo room, and that gets put together. This is step 3. The servo room is step 5, and that gets put together after this whole thing is inserted into the hull of the submarine. Later, a little bit later, I'm actually going to be trying to fit these parts together because I also need to paint the inside of the hull of the submarine to match the wall colors of each of these units. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll be taking pieces like this, and this goes in here like that. Okay, and now what you can see here is that this will be painted. This one goes here. Part of it is getting them to fit, which that one did and this one isn't. So that'll be a thing. You can see the different colors here. You can see how that's painted the dark gray, and then the inside is painted the light blue except for underneath, which is a battery compartment. And then this part is painted green to match this wall, because this is the servo room. So I'll be doing things like I'll be taking this and doing a little filing. File the inside where there seems to be some reluctance for that to fit. I'll just do that now. That part fit. And then there's anyway, these little parts are all supposed to fit together, but they also need to fit into the hull of the submarine. And so part of what I'm going to be doing is you're actually going to see the hull of the submarine for the first time in like forever, because they all, when I first tried to put these together before I painted them, what I found was that they didn't fit very well. They weren't level. And they flopped around, and then you'd end up with a trapezoid instead of a rectangle. Yep. And then that's why we're doing this, because parts don't fit all the time. And when they don't fit, if I had waited until I was cementing this, then anyway, that would have been quite a problem. When I'm doing the painting on the bottom here, I won't be painting this gap, or at least not very much. Just, there'll be some slop over that kind of thing. This is kind of an important thing to fit, because the part that isn't fitting is on the front, where it shows. So we want this gap here to be very small to non-existent. Yeah, it's just, so here we go. We're just gonna work at this until it works. And then I'm gonna do the little touch up. This is my way of kind of avoiding new follower, thank you. My chat screen. Hi, wise dude. Thanks for becoming a follower, and I will continue to try to explain what I'm doing here. Usually on Dice and Dungeons Relaxing Painting, we paint dungeon tiles and minifigs for a D&D campaign. But on Wednesdays, I've been given permission to work on this 1960s vintage Renwall cutaway nuclear missile launching submarine. And this is the bottom of the mess deck, and I am trying to get a bulkhead, this bulkhead in particular, to fit into the slot where it's supposed to just sit. But here, there's the kind of detail you get. The mess deck, which is, I think, come along actually pretty well. I don't know. I mean, the other one just went in real nicely. There we go. Nope. Just, it's like rocking back and forth in there. See, this one, this fit right in. Perfect. Ta-da. This one is being a real pain and is not fitting in like it should. So what I was hoping to do today is not be doing this, which is attempting to get parts to fit. And instead, I was hoping to be moving very quickly onto painting the bottom of this deck, fitting the parts together. And moving on to going through the parts box. That is the box, the model box, and finding the parts that go to the control deck, which is the next beastly thing that needs to be done on this submarine. So I'm just going to keep whittling away at this until it fits, because it must. If this doesn't fit, can't get very much further. Anyway, on Submarine Wednesdays, I'm working on this vintage Renwall cutaway submarine, and you'll see the cutaway later in the stream. I promise, one way or the other, that will happen. Getting better. Like it's rocking, and see what's happening is if I get one end down, the other end's up. And it's like rocking in the center now. So it's not just the edges that are the problem, it's the middle, which is a little bit more problematic. I'm doing this, I suppose I could. Part of it is the paint on the bulkhead. Okay. That makes it a little bit wider than the gap. And I could file off some of that paint, I suppose, but there's always the chance that I would file off too much. really close to being right. It just still won't go in there. And I'm not easily identifying where the problem is. These parts need to fit really quite well because the tolerances in the inside of the hull are very, very small. This one fits here really well. That goes together nicely. Okay. Yeah, this one's like thinner, and it fits adequately. So I think it's the thickness of the paint that's causing a problem. Careful with this because this is painted nicely. But sometimes right along the edge there's a buildup of paint, and that might be what's causing it. Because I think I put like 3 coats of this light blue paint on just to make sure it covered. Let's see if it's getting closer. It's definitely better. It's still not quite perfect. So this is relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons, and I promise that at some point in the not too distant future there will be some painting. I was actually planning to just sort of like this one, just go, see, this fits here, boom, it fits, ta-da. And I'm planning to do that with this other one too, but it didn't, and so I am unfortunately having to mess around with a file here trying to get the part to fit, and then I'll do some relaxing painting. Very relaxing flaws in the paint. Right, man, how did that happen? Okay, I'm gonna have to, when I get the green paint out, there's now a little spot there that shouldn't be there. That's going to have to be touched up. Okay, well, at least the part is fitting now. Okay. So that's how that's supposed to go. And then this one goes here. And that bunk deck gets suspended on these two tiny little prongs. And what I need to avoid is, you can see how these flip back and forth. And I could end up with like a trapezoid instead of a rectangle if they're not aligned right. So when these parts get cemented together, I actually have to do it inside the hull of the submarine. Do it inside the hull of the submarine so that they're aligned and they'll fit later. Okay, well, that isn't what I was planning to do. What I was planning to do was touch up the light blue here and the white here, and then paint the bottom of this. And after I've done painted the bottom of this, this would then be set aside to dry. And while it is drying, I will be looking for the pieces of the next section of the submarine. So I'm going to do these little touch-up things first, and then I'll give you a preview of what will be coming next. These, by the way, are little staircases that go in like this. And then there's another one that goes up from this deck to this deck. That's going to be a trick, because somehow this needs to be aligned with that gap. And that can't be done until all these things fit together. I don't know why they did that, but it just makes life hard. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is do the white touch-up. Really can't read the chat screen now. Hi, old Brogger. Yeah. I don't know, have you seen this? This is pretty cool, isn't it? The way the mess deck came together. Especially the galley. I think the galley came out nice. And I painted it in, since this is a 1960s submarine, I thought, well, domestic kitchens had all these like red outlines on their cabinets. Is the galley and the submarine is contemporary. And it's got those too, and that came out okay, I think. Yeah. And there's faucets and pots and pans, and if you look real carefully through the door there, you can see the hanging meat. So what I was doing was trying to get these parts to fit. This particular bulkhead decided that it did not want to go in this particular slot, so I just did a bunch of filing and finally got it to fit. But in so doing, I made a tiny little dot. Anyway, yeah, so I need to do a little white touch up here. There were gaps here and here where the pieces didn't quite fit, and a little gap here that I filled in. So I'm going to be touching these up, and then I'm going to paint the bottom. Okay. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then after I paint the bottom, that's going to dry before I start putting all these pieces together. I'm actually going to show you for the first time in about a month and a half, I think it's been that long, to see that this is actually part of a submarine. I'm going to pull the hull out, because I need to ramble on about how I need to paint the inside of the hull to match the ball color of these compartments that are being put together. This is just this weird thing, right? I can't see up close with my glasses on, and I can't see far away with my glasses off. Yeah, you probably can't really see that on screen, but there's white filler here in these corners. And I sanded that down, and now I'm just painting it over. There. Still see there's like a seam there in that the parts were like not perfectly set with each other, but there isn't a gap, and the gap really showed pretty badly. And then I've got some spots that need to be painted this light blue. I'm going to be painting a lot of light blue on the bottom. Most of these colors will actually need more than one coat. The light blue needs 2, the green needs 2, sometimes the light blue even needs 3. The gray usually covers in 1, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. But the bottom needs to be painted because when it's set into the hull, you can see the bottom of this. It's like this, edge on, like that. You can see the bottom of it if you look up from underneath. And since I'm messing around with this thing anyway, trying to make it look really good, I'm going to do my best to get, if I'm going to bother putting lines on the cabinets, I'm going to bother painting the bottom so it doesn't look scabby. What color is this one? So there's two touch-up spots here. One is an easy one. It's on the doorway where I filled the gap in. And the other is a spot that was created when I cemented the partition in. And I need to just touch that up without touching the floor. So that's going to be my not relaxing painting little bit. I'm going to use this brush because it's a little wider to do this touch up here because I want to avoid brush marks. And after that paint dries, the gap that was in that door will have magically disappeared. And you can see, there's a little bit of a seam left in there because they didn't match perfectly, but the gap in the corner is gone, and that's good. Okay, now clean this off. I need to touch the tiniest little spot. There's always a spot, where a touch-up is needed, and this particular thing now has a spot that is, let's see, that's right there. So I need to make that blue without making the floor blue. Getting a weird reflection on that. Okay, so there. There's the mess. There's the mess deck. And I would say that it is done. There's some touch up along the front here where I need to put the dark gray in again, but that'll happen after I get all this inset. So I'm going to let that set for a bit. And then I'm going to decide what color am I going to paint first on the bottom. And maybe I'll just do this light blue because it's out already. I said this deck sits above 3 other compartments. One is just the hull-colored ballast tank. The other is the bunks. And the third is a servo room. And the servo room doesn't come into play for quite a while. Yeah, trying to get the alcohol open here. Hi, Who, you finally showed up. What I should do is I should get the hull of, since I've got a couple of models, I bought 3 of them so that there would be enough parts. And so when I start finding the parts to the control room a little bit later, odds are really high that I'm going to have to dip into at least one of the extra models to find parts that work. Because if I recall correctly, some of the control panels that have a lot of control panel detail on them, the mold didn't fill when the parts was molded, and they're just very badly distorted. Okay, I'm going to be using this brush. It's a nice wide bristled brush with soft bristles, and using this to paint the bottom. And the most important part about painting the bottom is getting the right colors in the right places. And so I need to remember that this is the gray part and this is the green part. And if I get them wrong, well, I can always repaint it, but I would really prefer not to if I can avoid it. Get a piece of clean paper towel. This is going to be set upside down. The tops of all of these are going to be covered by the deck above, but I don't particularly need to make it any worse than I have to. And when I say I have to, I mean that because I have to mess up somehow. But first, I need to set this aside safely, and find something to flip. I can flip this alligator clip because I have it in my hand. Ready? 1, 2, 3 flips. Let me bring this back out again. So this part that's away from me, okay, that part is the front edge. And when you paint across, the ability of getting the paint blurbled, caught on the edge when I'm brushing. So I'm going to brush toward the front. And I need to cover the tops of these and the outsides of these because those will show. So I'm practicing here. Yeah, I'm going to give this a really good mixing because this whole center section needs to be covered. And what I want to not happen is I'm just thinking about it as I'm brushing over this, paint's going to drip down in that. And that's definitely a thing I don't want. I mean, it's okay. Okay, so I lied. I'm going to do this a little later because I'm going to mess around with some tape. I'm going to tape the inside of this so that I don't get paint all over it. I don't want paint to drip down and get onto the floor because that'll show and that'll be awful ugly. Ugly. No, I should do the. I'll do the taping now. I need to find some tape. Here we go. Let's see if I can pull this off. Getting scissors. Yeah, anyway, people who do painting and do it well, like old Brager, for example, know that the strategic use of tape can be a very good thing. And I'll probably be doing this on the hull too when I'm painting the inside of the hull. But that just a little bit of painter's tape in the right places can make a big difference in how much of a mess is created. Yeah, so I don't want it laying flat like that. That's definitely not what I was going for. Seriously, how did I even manage that? If I tried to do that, I would never have been able to. I just want it to paint. I just want to cover the inside of the little thing here. I don't want it to go on. Against. So if you ever do like model airplanes, you know, and you're painting the little lines on the canopy, you use this itsy bitsy tiny little thin pieces of tape, like, and then you spend probably the better part of it 6 hours or something taping up the canopy of the airplane. So that you can paint the little bitty lines on the canopy. With your airbrush. And you don't get it all over the clear plastic, right? So you know which side is the sticky side. And then it takes, you know, maybe the better part of 15 seconds or something to actually paint the little bitty lines that you spent the better part of 6 hours taping. But then it's all worthwhile because the little bitty lines on the canopy are painted and the rest of it isn't. So I'm hoping this turns out to be that kind of thing where this little extra effort to tape in the stairwell access port was worth it. Like I said, this is good practice, so that when I paint the inside of the hull, so that the walls of the hull match the colors of the compartments inside the hull. Now, in addition to taping this, when I paint the green paint or the light blue paint all around it, I'm going to do my best to not get a whole lot of but that should help protect it. So it isn't so much that I'm worried about getting it like right on the edges of this stairwell opening. I don't want a big blob of paint, that's a technical term, right? I don't want a big blob of paint going down in and leaving a big blue mark on the floor here. So there's that. An exercise in taping. Hopefully not a futile one. Clean up your work surface. Those are going to be in the way. You'll knock into something, you'll drop them, something will break. So I've discovered that I can get a really good result, you know, pretty smooth, no brush marks, that kind of thing, by putting on several thin coats, okay, rather than trying to get it all covered with just one big coat. Really like this. See how scabby this looks? And you get some paint on it, and poof. It still looks a little scabby, but not nearly as much. I thought I had filled that hole, but no. This is covering pretty well. Need another coat or not? We will see. Okay, I didn't get much on there. So we'll clean this brush and let that set. Maybe I'll clean this jar a little later. I don't know. And then see if we need a second coat, keeping in mind that this is at the bottom, okay? And it's not going to show very much. And so this side is the bulkhead. Here, that's the this. There we go. This side is the ballast tank, and that's dark gray. You look. Hi, first time chat. Okay, yes. It's kind of like there's two other jokes like that. Yeah, thank you for that. So guy's out there foraging in the woods, okay, and he's picking up, you know, some wild asparagus and some dandelion greens, and he finds some jeepki, which sounds like kind of an Eastern European word, right? And it's like, hey, I found some wild asparagus, and hey, I found some blueberries, and hey, I found some dandelion greens, and I also found some jeepki. And the guy says, what are you talking about? What's a jeepki? It's the thing you use to start your Jeep. Yep, you have to always, if you start something like this, sometimes you have to pay the price. So the dark gray goes here. And of course, there's always the classic, oh no, you got some Henway on you. Oh no, what's that? What's a Henway? Oh, I don't know, about 5 pounds. Yeah. Those are the only two I know, and that's too many, I know, right? So I don't know if that was better or worse than rambling on about 60s TV and cartoons. Let's tell bad jokes. Get any more? They have to be really bad. They can't be just mediocre bad. They have to be really bad jokes. Yeah, everybody's heard the Henway one, That's good. Uh-huh. Like that. So let's keep this on a roll, okay? Who? Roger? Any of you have one? No? What's That's terrible. Who? Hardly. That wasn't even worth the pixels on the chat screen. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a little white spots here and here in the light blue. It's gonna fit here. I'm gonna slide that in a second. Yeah. There that goes. It's the green on this side. Yep. And the gray on that side. Do a little bit of light green touch up. There's a spot there. So odd. Okay, yeah. Not much here either. Go ahead, say it. What's snoo? No? Who? What's snoo? I said it. start something, you need to finish it. Thank you. Took you a while to wrap that up. Not bad though. Okay. Keep it. Use that for the light green touch-up. The light blue, I mean, because there are spots that need to be touched. I'm just going to do those now. Some of the white is showing through. Little bits of the white is showing through where I'd filled these in. I do the green. There's this tiny little spot there that needs to be greened. Here, this needs to be. It's going to be on the inside of the bulkhead. It definitely needs to be that blue color. Here. Okay. Well, thanks for joining in and giving us at least one bad joke. What was important to do? Okay, yeah, suddenly got quiet. The wash water over there is really not a good idea, because I know I'm going to spill it reaching over. Put it where this tape is. There we go, because I need to leave room for this little palette for the green paint for the servo room here. Green paint. This is in a Viejo bottle, and it needs to be squeezed out. Give this a stir. So, you know, we're getting some relaxing painting done here at least, right? Waves going. I have this out because there's a tiny little spot that isn't green anymore. It looks like I probably got when I was filing something, maybe got a little piece of something on it. This goes on really bright green, but you can see that it tones itself down pretty well. Yeah. Got a little bit of green on that, and that's going to show, and that's going to show. So I have to get the light blue out one more time, just for some tiny spots. Well, actually, yeah, I need this other brush. I'm seeing another flaw here. Well, I don't know if that will show, or if it'll get covered by the floor. But not mess with it any longer than I need to. Okay, so I'm going to let that green dry for just a little bit. Just, guys. And then I need to do some light blue touch-up where I got the green paint and the dark gray paint on it. So, let's see, how are we doing on time here? Got about an hour again. Wow. The one thing I've been putting off that I'm going to work on again, because it needs to be done while the green is drying and before I come back with the light blue touch-up here, here, and here, is the forward bulkhead of the torpedo room. Way at the front of the ship. The torpedo room was actually the first section of the submarine to get done. And when I show you the hull of the submarine a little later after all this stuff is dried and I try to fit the pieces together, I'm not going to cement them in today, but I want to fit them together so that I can paint the inside of the hull. At least get that started so that yeah. No, at least I want to see if things will fit. Especially these things. I'm really close to getting this whole set done, but I'm a little reluctant to cement it all at this point until I can make sure it fits into the hull correctly. Okay, and that's important because if I glue this together and it's a little bit tilted, so it's trapezoidal rather than rectangular, when this goes on, okay, this goes here, there. If this is like tilted one way or the other, like this is like one way or the other, it won't fit into the hull. and this gets cemented together way before the whole assembly, which includes the control room, gets put into the hull. Yeah, I found that out when I was doing the sail, or the conning tower, you might call it, of the submarine, where things fit, and then I cemented them together and they didn't fit anymore. It was disappointing, to say the least, and a little, anyway. What I've got here, though, is the forward bulkhead of the torpedo room. And for some reason, they decided to make this highly detailed. I don't know why. Nothing else really was. But it includes these little dials, a clock, and so on. And I was having some success getting these dials the faces of the dials by using this technique that I will now attempt to replicate. I was using a nail head, okay, so that's nice and flat, and putting felt tip pen ink on that, and then touching it. And because this is so flat, none of it went down into, it didn't get into the insides of the dials. Okay, so it just like colored the rim. You can see the circles there. But this is too big to get in here to these dials, and so I've got this tiny little finishing nail, and I did the same thing to this. And now I can do this one, and this one, and I'll try to get into that, and the insides maybe of these. So I don't know. It worked before, as you can see. Actually, not too badly. And I'm just going to try it here. And if this works, then I'm going to have to get out a teeniest little brush, and this bulkhead is painted this green color. But I don't want to paint all of these little bits that I painted before. And so that's going to be, I tried a Sharpie, and it dried too fast on the nail head, and so didn't get onto the dial. There, see, it's working. The torpedo room was one of the very first things to go into the hull. But this bit is separate from the rest of the torpedo room, and so it allowed me to mess around with this over a period of time rather than right away. There's detail on the insides of these rings, and I don't know if this is going to be small enough to get in there or not. If not, I've got a pinhead that I can work with. Yeah, I might have to go to that. It's just a little too big to fit inside these rings. So I'll probably do that. I'll go to the pinhead. watching paint dry here. Anyway, that kind of works. It's kind of, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's kind of cool. The junction boxes have gotten some of the ink on those. Then I'll have to touch those up, but I'll do that after I paint the green because it's likely I'll get some on there too. But the bulkhead is really kind of cool, with all the detail on it. And hopefully I'll be able to get the green all the way around inside of there without messing up the detail too much, or showing brush marks too badly. There's always that. But now I'm going to have to try this. The pinhead is rounded on the top, but I think I can do that. So I'm going to see how this works. The inside of these two dials. Yeah, let's remember that the pin has a point. Yeah, it's working. So you're getting some stuff on the inside there. So it's not, perfect again, but you can see that there's something inside there. And that wasn't there before. There's probably other techniques that you can use to do this, but I'm not like a professional painter and I don't have those skills, so this is what I came up with, and it's working adequately. And those of you who have been regular observers of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons know that adequately is what we're aiming for. Hi, Sat. One of our cats came down to say hi. Little does he know he's making his annual wellness visit to the vet later today, one of his least favorite things. Okay, well, that kind of worked. So at some point, I'm going to have to get brave and get this teeniest little brush and spend forever, and it will be forever, pushing green paint around all of these detail things, and then coming back and doing touch-up with the other colors. Yeah, that'll be an adventure. You'll get to watch the top of my head as I paint this, but I'm not going to do that today because that would be way too not relaxing. But what I'm attempting to get done today, I want to make a foray into the boxes or parts of the submarine and move on to the next section. Okay, this is dry enough now. I think I can do the touch-up with this light blue paint. lot of it, but there's, you know, especially in the front here where it's going to show. Can't tell it's the front, but it is. It's the front of the submarine. That plastic putty didn't do as nice a job of filling in all these things as I thought it would. It looked like it hadn't, like they were filled in, but they're not. But, you know, it looks okay. Especially given that you're going to have to bend down and peer up, and it'll be hard to see inside that section of the sub. Okay, well, this front edge will need some touching up, but I can do that later. Okay, this whole thing now, these ladders get put on later. This whole thing now is going to be set aside. Get these brushes cleaned. Some success now. I got the mess deck is now officially done. Other than the steps that need to be put in when the whole thing is glued together. I did some part fitting, and I'll do that again before those things are cemented. Now I need to get things cleaned up a little bit and cleared out. Okay. Okay, let's show you what's going on. So this, you just saw all the parts to this. This is all assembled now. This is assembled. And what needs to be done are these bulkheads need to be, and you, at the very beginning of the stream, you saw how they fit into the bottom slots here. Well, you saw how one fit, and you saw how the other one didn't fit, but eventually I made it fit. And then these get cemented to the little tabs on the bottom, okay? But they need to be, these things out of the way, because I'm not going to be painting for a bit. I'm going to be looking for parts. I need to get this into the hull in order to make sure that it is rectangular, that that it fits, okay? And so when I cement all of this, I'm going to be not cementing it to the hull, but I'll be cementing it while it's resting in the hull, so that later on when it gets inserted, I know it will fit. The next part, though, we're moving on to number 4. I'm actually going to move on here, is the control deck. And the control deck sits on top of the mess deck, okay? And it has all of these parts. And the thing about these parts is that they are control room surfaces. So it's just filled with dials and buttons and all sorts of little stuff that will require a huge amount of detail painting, basically. And that's just going to take forever. It just is going to, okay? And in the very, very front of it, behind this little bulkhead, these are lockers, okay, is the bathroom is the head. And we'll see that in the hull of the submarine. And of course there's more bunks, because what's more fun than painting bunks, right? Yeah, so these things have details. It's like a sink, I guess, some lockers, a doorway, some fire extinguishers. We painted those before. I don't know what that's going to be. We'll make something up. But what I need to do now is I need to go into the box, the submarine box, and I need to find all these parts. All right? And as I'm doing that, I'm going to move this whole thing, all these parts I was working on, okay? I'm going to move these out of the way because the box is big. And it's going to take up all this space. This is for the parts, a little parts container. And I don't want to seriously set it here. And unless you were watching many months ago, you haven't really seen that this is actually a submarine. Let me get this here. Ta-da. Yeah. It fills the space nicely. I'm going to move this along the camera. There's the forward torpedo room that I said. This is the bulkhead here with the torpedo tubes and stuff that I was working on. That goes there. These actually go up and down, which is kind of cool. The conning tower. And then the parts I was working on go here. And if you look carefully, you can see there's like a little gap here where there's a control panel of some sort, and then a gap, okay? And then a gap in the conduits. That's where the mess hall deck goes, right there. And then there's another gap up here. You can see those. That's where the control room deck goes. The control room deck goes all the way across, just like the mess hall deck did. This control panel is inside the servo room, the one that was painted green. So part of what I need to be doing, you can see the different colors here. That's where the bathroom is. Those are actually toilets, okay? The floor of the control deck goes here, and then there's a little bit of bathroom color here that needs to be painted in. So between this gap and that gap, these two gaps, it gets painted this color, and actually down here as well. This is where the bunk room goes. Between these slots here, those two slots are where the oh my, okay, I need to do that. Maybe I'll do that a little later. There was a chunk taken out of the hull, and I filled that in, and it needs to be sanded down. So this underneath here is like a battery compartment that's painted the dark gray, okay? And then this area here, between that slot and that gap, is painted the dark gray because that's the ballast tank. This here, above these, and in between these two slots, and up to that line, is painted the light blue, right? And then this, between these two spots and up to that, is painted the green. This control panel here, you can actually see through from the front of the mess deck. And so this is going to be painted something, and then those little like dials will be painted in these little things. I'm not painting the conduits, and the same thing here. So you can see that if you look at the box top here, which shows that this is actually a submarine. Okay, you can see how much more there is to go. The control room is here, and there's all these little dials and buttons and things on the control panels. So these are painted like a medium gray color. I haven't used that yet. I need to find it, and I'll be using that sort of medium gray color, not the dark gray. It's a gray in between that and the light gray, to paint these control panel boxes. Anyway, the painting of the inside of the hull in itself, you know, I'll be taping it. There's no other way to do it. The part up here in the control room, the bathroom gets painted, but everything behind it is painted this green color, because that's the color of the mechanical room area. Okay, so that's the plan. At some point I need to be, you know, figuring out where the dividing lines are, putting some tape down and painting them, and then fitting the pieces in again to make sure that the dividing lines are correct. Yeah, sounds complicated. It is. It's kind of a messy thing. Anyway, you can see that there actually are parts of the submarine that are completed. And there's a little spot. The green, it's not green anymore. And I can't tell if that's because there was this piece of speck of dirt. Yep. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not inserting things into the submarine, is I need to make sure that they all line up, okay, and fit when I cement the mess deck to the bunk deck. And then all these different parts are done that way. And you can see how that goes here, is that this assembly here, that's the mess deck. That should be familiar by now with the bunk deck down below it. Okay, this deck gets put on top of it and then inserted into the submarine. And weird things need to line up, like those periscopes I showed you that go up and down. They need to go into these tubes, and these tubes need to go into this deck, and then this whole thing needs to align in a way that those can move up and down without too much friction. It's it starts to become the assembly. It isn't, you know, the painting with all the little details and stuff is kind of, you know, for me a little bit difficult, but the assembly becomes difficult. Fortunately, once you get back further, okay, once you get past the control room and this part of it is done, that much, okay, the rest of this is relatively straightforward. Yeah, I know, there's 3 decks that all need to line up here, okay, but getting that aligned compared to getting all this aligned is pretty straightforward. So you can see what happens here. There's the head or the bathroom, right? This is where those bunks go, so that gets painted blue, which is a different color than this. You know, inside of the hull all needs to match all of that. So anyway, it'll be a while before this chunk of the submarine is actually completed and assembled and put in. But once it's put in, we should be able to move along fairly quickly, I hope. Yeah. So then I said there was a gyro deck, this little compartment down here. Somehow this is just balancing, is just sitting here, you know, attached somehow. I don't know, but it will be. I think basically these 2 little things down here are holding everything together. Oh, seriously? After that is put in, then I need to find this ladder and stick it in. Oh, that should be fun. That should be a lot of fun. Getting that ladder way down inside of here, attaching the control deck to the hatch on the top on the first deck of the sail. Okay, so there's the hatch. Nope, nah, that's not the hatch. You can see the hatch, which was very carefully painted, hatch color, underneath the airlock. Basically, it's a water lock. And there's a hatch again on top. Is that there's a ladder that goes from the control deck it's going to be inside. It's going to come out this far. Right. So as I was saying, once this section's done, including things like this ladder and these other bulkheads on the front and the back of the missile launch area, okay, once those are put in, hopefully the rest of it, like the missile deck, okay, and the reactor deck, that looks pretty simple, red, that kind of thing will go anyway. Hopefully, yeah. The other cool thing is that actually one of these missile tubes has a spring and a lever. And if it's carefully lined up with the hatch on the top, the very, very top, that hatch here, one of the 16 hatches opens up and the missile launches. It goes up like about 2 or 3 inches or something before it starts flopping around. I just have to say that each one of these rooms has been quite a struggle. I think they're coming out okay. I think they're looking nice. Certainly nicer than when I did that when I was in like 7th grade. But each one has been a challenge. And it looks like the Renwall model makers have decided that we're just going to keep that challenge going. But you can see that, there's painting the inside of this is going to be a little bit of a challenge as well. But what I'm going to do is bring out the box. Haven't opened this in ages because it's been that long since I was working on the mess deck. Is I'm going to try to find the parts to the control deck. And in here is a whole pile of parts. This I don't have to find because I found this once before. This is the deck for the control room. This big long thing is the outer hull. And once I repair the hinge, okay, this one broke off, is it actually goes up against the other one and folds down. When I bought this kit, a lot of the parts were off the trees, as you can see. Some of them are broken, some might even be missing, I don't know. This is, you can see it's a different color. Is borrowed from the Ethan Allen submarine because the one that was in this kit, which is in now the Ethan Allen box, was warped. This one's warped a little bit, little curve, but the other one was like a U shape almost. So this deck will now be covered with all sorts of tiny little parts, just like the mess deck was. So what do we need here? We need chairs. The chairs, you might recall, are teeny, infinitesimally tiny little things. But in the control room, there are special chairs. There's 3 special chairs here. Those special chairs are bigger, and they are 43A pilot seats. The pilots get to sit in these bigger chairs, I guess because they have to sit there a whole day, whereas the rest of these chairs are just casual chairs. Okay. You might as well see these. These are pretty funny. there are actually sailors. They have these little figures of people standing, laying down, and there's even some that are sitting. And they are just hilariously, stupidly, poorly molded, next to impossible to paint. And so I decided not to. This is the top of the missile tubes, and that's the one here where the missile actually shoots out and fires. So I'm going to keep this out because I need to cut off these chairs. In fact, I might just go ahead and do that. First things first, I need to find all of these parts. So as I find them, I'm going to put them in this handy little container. So as I cut these off, I don't want to break them off. What happens is if you break them off, oftentimes they will not break in the right place. Okay, what that means is that, like these chairs, oh, I can't see them here, is there's two layers. There's this little pedestal, it's a little thicker, and then there's a thin pin, and the pin goes into the hole in the deck, and the pedestal sits above it. The other thing you'll see is that they don't look much like chairs because they have all this flashing around them. So these chairs end up needing just a lot of rehabilitation before they can be used to get rid of the mold marks. In fact, if you look, you can see, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but there's a mold mark down the center here. It's not really a mold mark. The two halves of the chairs don't match up. There's actually like a 64th of an inch. I can push it with the knife and bump into the ridge. This side is higher than this side. And so, chairs aren't like that. So I have to file these down front and back and seat so that the two halves of the chairs are actually the same. It's just, anyway, that's how this model is done. It's very poorly molded. Okay, now the last time I did this, when I cut them off, they sometimes go flying. So I've learned my lesson, and I'm putting them on the block here so that I'm cutting down onto the wood, but I'm going to put a finger on this so that after I cut through it, and if it decides to let loose, it, like that, okay, it didn't go flying across the room and getting lost. So why am I doing these chairs first? Not that they are the most important part of the model or anything, it's just that they're the first things I found. And I think there are 3 that go on this deck, but there's 4 left here. I'm not sure why. Yeah, so cleaning up these chairs so that they're usable, I'm going to do that during the stream, and it's just going to take forever, and I'll apologize in advance, but it will be taking probably the better part of like 5 minutes each, because they're very, very poorly done. Like I said, the two sides of the chair, the left and right sides of the chair, don't even match. And then there's so much flashing on these, I can guarantee that the little pins do not fit in the holes in the deck. And those will have to be filed down. But at least I have them. Okay? I mean, they're tiny. It's even connected to the little tab. There's a tab here that says 43A on it, which is the part number. So badly molded, it's even attached to that. Okay, so down in the bottom of this, I don't know if I can do anything to show you the scale of just how little, minuscule these things are. They are, I've talked about them being rice grain sized chairs, and they are. Okay. I need to find these. These are tubes for the periscopes and the radio antenna. The bulkheads. Let's set this in here. Here's a bag. This is a bag of parts that had come off of their trees, and they're just loose, and they, I just need to match them up somehow. I'll be going through them. If I can't find parts, I'll be going through here to try to find them. Yeah, so I think this is the kind of thing I was. $27, okay. Here's 27. This is the kind of thing I was talking about earlier. It's this part right here. Okay, it's got like some bookshelves or something on it, but if you look at it, if you can see that clearly, there's a dimple in it. Okay, so when this was molded, it didn't fill, and there's a dimple. And so for that, like that particular part, and then if you look at these lockers, it's really bad. It looks like someone threw somebody up against the central locker there, right? You can see the dimple in it. Is I'm hoping that in the other two kits, those parts are not so badly malformed. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, there's the propeller, a couple of torpedo tubes. Yeah, this is bad. So this part here, 22. Look at that. It's almost unusable. See how those dimples are there? I mean, I suppose if I had no alternative, I could make an effort to fill those in and sand them down and carve them. Maybe I could salvage that. I don't know. This is number 26. That's this part here. Again, there's some bookcases, some cabinets that open and close. This one is not too bad. I am actually going to cut this one off. I'm going to compare it to what's available in the other kits, but at the moment, at least, this part looks usable. And I'm cutting it off and leaving. I'll show you this. I'm leaving a little bit of the sprue on it there so that I can file that off. And because I don't want to break it off and have a divot. Okay, so I've got two parts I can't use and one part that I can. This looks like one of the control panels. This might be okay. This is number 28. Yeah, this has got divots on it too. pretty bad. And it's barely usable. Again, what can I say? That's why I bought 3 kits. I bought 3 kits hoping that among them I would have enough usable parts to build one submarine. Oh, here's that wonderful ladder. This long ladder that is supposedly going to go in here, and I'm not sure, with tweezers and tiny little bits of cement, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so far this is going fairly poorly in terms of finding usable parts. Now we've got this bag of stuff here. These are parts that have all come off of the trees already. And I'm going to go through here and see if I can find other things that are needed. This is a box of essential tiny parts that I don't want to lose. A blade to the propeller, the spring to launch the missile, and the hinge that broke off. Keep this sealed because I do not want to lose those. Okay, I'm just going to reach around in here. Let me see what I can find. Okay, these look like they might be some things. Okay, these are two of the 3 receptacles for the periscope and radio antenna. You can see this little hole there. This one, because it has these little bumpy things on it, this is the periscope. Those are like the periscope handles. Okay. There's another one of these smooth ones in this somewhere. And then this, lo and behold, that's this part here. And it's not terrible. In fact, it's really quite good. No, I spoke too soon. The front of it's fine, but then if you look at it from the top, there's these divots right in the surface of the control panel. So far, that's going really quite poorly. Okay. That's this. It's here. There's a little shelf, and you can see, once again, a divot in it. This is the missile that gets fired. Yeah, I know. There's so much detail on here. And it's so weird, you know. Some parts of the submarine are molded with next to no detail, and then others just absurd amount of detail, which is why this is going to take 3 or 4 months to paint. But as I was saying, none of these parts are okay. They just have holes and divots. So I'm going to have to go through the other 2 models to see if maybe those pieces work. Fortunately, I was able to find other models. But I've only come up with one of these pieces out of all of these that is any good. You know, and they've all come off, of course, they've all come off of the tree, the sprues, so. Okay, at least I found this. This is the other tube here, so I've got, this is what I've been able to salvage so far out of this kit. Is the chairs these 3 tubes and this one piece. Here. This way. Those are the lockers. So that's this one, like that. And what I found are all of these other pieces are just really, really badly distorted. Yeah, and then I mean these little pieces. This one here, this tiny little thing here. This is a, what do they call it? 31 is. Trying to see what the description is. The scope seat. So this goes near the periscope, and it's like a stool that swivels, like a little swivel stool. This is really kind of frustrating, not finding pieces that work. In some cases, I'm not finding them at all. I don't want to dump them out of this bag necessarily. You can't see the bag. I'll move the bag over here. Yeah, because that'll happen. I'll drop the pieces. Okay, what I should do is I should put them in like a box and look for them there. Yeah, this is becoming a treasure hunt almost. Oh, here. I found this. This is here. These are supposedly batteries. And they go down at the bottom of the hull. See that this goes anywhere. Yep, this is why I bought 3 kits, because parts. Oh, and our favorite thing, more bunks. So I found the bunks, and it goes there. There's some really small pieces that are missing here. I have to go back through here and see if I can find them. This is the joy of getting a kit that was maybe complete, maybe not. Started poorly. At least you can find big things like the nose of the submarine. Here, you can watch me as I ramble through this, trying to find, in some cases, fairly large parts. Like this one should be obvious, right? Yeah, something just got knocked over. Yeah, so what I'm looking at are most of these pieces like this are unusable. That, number 27, which is here, is mostly unusable. This looks usable, but then it's not. So what I'm missing, I'm missing this number 21, whatever that is. Okay, I'm not finding that at all so far. And this little 31 piece, this little bench-like stool, and that 29. Which is supposedly a little instrument panel, and then this tiny little thing here, there's an instrument panel that goes on the top of that. And I've been having some really good luck finding parts at first. And all up until now, I haven't missed anything. But now, oh, there's one of them. It's this thing here. It is number 25. 25 is that tiny little square thing that goes on here. And I think what it is it's supposed to be like a radar scope. Okay? So I'm going to very carefully take that off and not lose it. I was surprised that I found that and put it in with the minuscule chairs. Okay, so I found that and I put it away. I don't want to lose it. But that's this tiny little piece up here that goes onto the shelf here of this piece, which is unusable. So just so I can keep track of things, I am, in fact, going to... Okay, that's this one, unusable. Okay. This piece, unusable. This piece, unusable. Yeah, oh, that's this piece. Okay, I found that piece. Also, unusable. So what I'm missing now, I'm missing this tiny little thing here, number 29, and this even tinier thing, number 31. So there's a little control panel and a stick, basically. You can help me look. Ladders, but not the stick. This was inspected by 11-146-8. That particular inspector was more than willing to let stuff through that was terrible. Oh, I found it. Oh my, that is so weird. Okay, let me cut it off and then here. See, I'm going to show it to you against a white background. Okay, this is this bit here. That's the periscope stool. If you look at it, there's a little chair at the top, which of course is like all the other chairs. The two halves don't line up, and it's on this huge pedestal. So somehow or other, somebody has to climb up onto this pedestal and sit in this little stool in order to look through the periscope. They couldn't put the periscope down at floor level. I'm actually kind of surprised I found that. That's pretty neat. Okay, and then this is going to go in the container of teeny parts. So I need to find this one. That's the only one that's left that I haven't found. I found all the rest, most of which are unusable. Okay. So this looks like a chair, but it's a little bit bigger. This is a usable control panel, but it's not for here. You know, the other thing is, you would think that if they molded these, that they would put parts together that had similar numbers, like you might have like 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, if I can't, that's a good idea, that I could do that. Like these spots in here, down here, that are missing detail, I might be able to repair them that way, and then file and sand it down. I am, though, going to look at the other kits, because I did buy 2 others to see if the parts there might be better. Oh, here's an example of the warp. Look at this. Can you see that? That's the submarine launch tube deck, and we'll see what it's like on the other kits, but yeah, I would say that this kit I'm working from is complete. All the pieces are here so far, except I haven't found one that I'm still looking for. But it's very, very badly done. Yeah, you would think that maybe that the parts would be, you know, like this sprue might be all numbered 20 something, right? No, this part was 32, this was 50, this was 72, this is 54. You know, it's like these are 26. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm just going through these, trying to find the part that came off. That's part of the gyro. I need that later. So I can't even find the sprue, you know, and say, oh, the part I'm looking for should be attached here, because there's no numbering system. I'm looking, for example, part number 29. You would think maybe that would be year 21, maybe, right? No, number 27 is right next to 50 to next to 85. Of course, number 7 is right next to number 52. Go figure. There's another escape hatch. There's the hatch to the submarine missile launch. All right. Yeah, I have not been able to find that part. I have been finding parts that don't work. So what I'm going to do is carefully put these aside, so that this is the reactor core, by the way. That's pretty cool. And that's all going to look like it's wow, you are. That's a lot of moving around. It's going to be really busy. So congratulations on driving everybody everywhere. Okay, well, I was able to find all but one of the parts, okay, in this kit, and that part is probably in here somewhere. Maybe I'm just not recognizing it. I found a lot of parts that just are not going to work unless I can do a major repair on them in terms of the detail. And I'm going to go to another kit after break and try some more. I'm wondering if... Could that be this one? Could that be this? Let's see. It's unrecognizable if it is. So it goes like this. Can't even tell where that goes. Goes back here. Okay. That very well might be it. It's off the tree. But if I look through the other kits, what I might be able to find, I mean, it does not look like that. What I might be able to do is find it on the tree and then tell whether or not that's supposed to be what it is or not. But it looks like it belongs there. It's got all sorts of buttons and dials on it. So I'm going to say that that's it. So what I found are the chairs, which are badly molded but at least salvageable. The 3 tubes here. Okay. This particular part, which is not awful. This part, which is not awful. The battery thing. Maybe this, if it's the right part. And then all the rest of these 2 bulkheads, this bit here, these 2 control panels, I have found, but they are all full of such huge, just huge, the molding flaws that they're pretty much unusable. So I'm going to take a break on that frustrating note of finding the parts but having them be unusable. And I'll be back in a little while and looking through one other kit first to see if they're usable, and if not, I'll go to a third kit to see if they are usable there. And then, depending on how that goes, I'll either start prepping these parts by filing them down and sanding them so that they'll fit, or I might begin to work on painting the inside of the hull. As I mentioned before, there's like 4 or 5 different compartments here, all of which need to be painted different colors. So this is green, this bit along here, and down here is light blue, this is dark gray, this is the bathroom color, because that's a piece of the bathroom. Yeah, this bulkhead needs to be painted the same colors as that. Yeah, and painting the inside of this will actually be a little bit of a challenge. And it doesn't show that much, but it will show through, and if it's not painted, it will be really obvious that something should have been done that wasn't. So I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to try to salvage parts from the other kits. See you in about 20 minutes. So, Parts Quest continues. I'm going to move the camera up as far as I can, because I realized that you were watching me rummage through a box, but you couldn't see the box or the thing I was rummaging in. So this is a later version of the thing I've been working on. This is the Ethan Allen, which is essentially the same kit, except the only difference is that the hatch for the missile launching, instead of opening fore and aft, opens to the side. Okay, so there are some parts in the missile launch area that are not the same as everything else, but almost everything else is. So I've been looking for pieces, and I found You can see them here. Okay, I found some chairs. I found the three tubes that hold the periscope and the 2 radio antenna, those parts. Those are all little chairs here. Okay, I found those. I found the periscope perch, which is a weird little chair on top of a pillar of some sort. And I found the radar scope, or here, that goes on a shelf. Does it go here on this bulkhead? Okay. And I also found this and the bunks. Those are okay. And if this is in fact this piece, that, and this set of lockers. All the rest of these pieces, these bulkheads, control panels, and so on, I have the parts, but they're very badly molded. So I have already borrowed some things, including the deck for the control room. Okay, that I've got from another kit, because essentially it was so badly done, it was warped, so I borrowed it, and you might even see the original in here. Anyway, I'm going to open up this, and I'm going to rummage through these parts to see if I can find parts that are well enough molded that are usable. And if this were 1965, I could send this form in and mark the parts that are missing or badly done. Okay, and for like a nickel a piece, or in some cases 15 cents, or really big ones, a quarter, plus 15 cents for postage and handling. Can you believe that? Postage and handling together was 15 cents. Yeah, if it were 1965 again, I could use this parts list and send it in and get them. But it's not, so I can't. So let me take this out and see what we've got. We've got not real hopeful. This part here is, in fact, this part here. And the one in the Ethan Allen is even worse than the one from the original George Washington. So I'm going to look for a couple more parts, and yeah, if I have this, if it looks to be like the same sort of problem, well, we might just have to go on. This is an example of like this is the deck from the mess hall from the original kit, and that's why I switched out, because it's so badly warped. And the same thing was true here, so I switched them out with this kit. Okay, well, the dogs are barking. Contractors that may or may not be working on our house have arrived to give us an estimate. I don't know why I keep putting them back in this plastic bag. It just makes it harder to look for them later. Those are the parts. These are all the parts for the kitchen. Oh my. Wow. Look at that. That's an example of, that is really awful. The molding on this submarine is almost worse than the other one. This one's almost usable. The back isn't. I'll have to see if that shows or not. but is that number 29? Yes, okay. So this particular piece that I wasn't sure of whether it was really the piece or not, that's this one, is in fact the piece I was looking for. So that's good and that's usable. But I'm not finding anything in this kit, so far at least, that is any better, any more usable than the one that was the original kit. In fact, I'm finding a part that's like even worse than the other one. That one's not too bad. I'll have to do some comparing and contrasting here. It's really tempting to just give up on this kit and go right to the third kit. But so far, it's not encouraging. I'm really surprised at how awful the quality control is on this thing. I'm looking like for some of the control panels, like this one. Okay, so this is this, and you can see it has, the original kit has these huge divots in it. This has equally bad divots. So it's pretty clear that over a period of 3 years or something between one version and the next, it didn't get any better. This piece, okay, that's this piece here. This might be marginally better than the other one. Keep this out. All right, so far, I found a couple of pieces that might be better than the original kit, but so far, and a couple that were worse. So I'm going to on from this and set this carefully on the floor here behind me. I won't step on it. And pull out the third kit. Then we'll do triple wise comparisons to see. This kit was started. This is pretty good. I mean, these pieces are actually not wool. This kit was started. As you can see, they got the missile room, the torpedo room, very nicely installed and no painting at all. That makes it a lot easier if you just glue things in without painting them. But, then it's not a thing. Okay, this part is this part. And it's no better or worse, so I'll just leave that. I won't bother with that. I have no idea what I'm going to find here, but it can't be much worse than the other one was. I'll just rummage through these things and see how they look. This part. This part is this part. Oh, okay. There's still a little divot in it. You can see the divot here. But it's not nearly as bad as that. All right. It is... you know, the molding, the failure of the molding just continued from kit to kit to kit. And I'm going to use this one because it's the least bad of them. And replace, just throw the other one back in. Okay. So if I ever try to resell these kits, the parts will be there. So that's this part here. Okay, now we've got this here. Goes between these two. They're equally mediocre. I mean, they're both not great. Okay. Pretty much the same way. So anyway, since I'm using this kit, I'm going to use the part from this kit. And I want to replace it with the part from the original kit. Let me get these all mixed up, aren't I? Yeah. Yeah. This is the part from the original kit. You can see it's really not good at all. So there we go. Whoever buys this kit later, maybe if somebody does, is getting a pretty mediocre chunk of submarine model. All right, how are we doing? We got the bunk, we got this, we got the chairs, I've got this. I'm looking for that piece, and the forward bulkhead, and then the control panels. If I compare the original bulkhead with the one in this kit, the one in this kit is even worse. So we're keeping that. What was it like in the Ethan Allen? I forget. Rummage. Isn't this fun? You know, looking through these things, looking for stuff that's badly done, poorly molded. Okay, that was this part here. Was the original. You can see that that's really bad. Okay, really bad. This is just mostly bad. Why didn't I pull out the one from the other kit? Can't do three-way comparisons if I've only got two of the three. Yeah, so sorry about the, you know, no, this sub's not done yet. I'm looking for parts. Badly molded, horrible parts. Trying to do three-way comparisons by pulling out two at a time. Looking through bags of stuff for things that aren't badly molded, that are usable. sort of. There's one of them. So yeah, I was comparing. This one's impossible, so that's no good. So that's okay. We got that going. Now I'm looking for this front bulkhead. Do I seem lost? I am lost. This is the original one. The original one is really, really bad. Have I found the one from this kit yet? The big part. Rummaging through the little parts here. Oh, there's one of the control decks. Let's compare these. Oh, this one's good. This part here. Let me find it from the original so I can replace it. Okay. So what we've got going here is that's this part. You can see, look, that this is actually a good part. So that was cool, finding a good part. Let's see what the other one's like. If I can find this one here. This one is from the other submarine, the Ethan Allen submarine. It isn't good. What is this? Look at the lockers. E7. Used now. That or not. Okay, the part I'm looking for is fairly large. It's this bulkhead up here. It should be pretty obvious, I would think. So far I've got none that work. Here's the bunk. Okay, that's this here. So it's a question of which of these two is the better of the two. I would say what we're looking at is we're looking at a tie in terms of quality. They're both indented, okay, so neither one of them is terribly good. I'm going to go with the light gray one. Let's put this back in here. That is this part here, and in the original it's really bad. So that's going to go in here. to replace it. Okay. See how we're doing here. We got a good control panel here. That's really good news. We've got this control panel. That's good. We've got the best of the three for this. This set of lockers here with books and things. It's okay there. This one, I think goes here. I think this goes here. Need that yet. That kind of little half round bulkhead from at least one of the kits. Right? This is the original, and it's really, really bad. It's hard not to improve on that. You can watch me rummage through this. And it's this piece here. And this piece is even worse than that piece, so that's not going to happen. So let's see if we can find it in this kit. So far, this kit has been providing us with some pretty good replacement parts, relatively speaking, relative to the really bad parts in the original kit. I'm hoping I can find that. Here it is. It's just been sitting out the whole time. It's better. Okay. I mean, it still looks like someone slammed into the lockers, but the big divot up there is missing, so we'll do that. And we're going to place this here. With different colors, which helps. So I can kind of match colors. And, okay, this one here, this mysterious piece here, that is in fact number 27. Okay, here. In this one, this is weird. So in this one, it's got a divot, so it's not really usable. But this has got like a hole in the top, which is very odd. But I can fill that in. So this is 26, and this is 27. And I know that because in this kit, it's still on the tree that says 27. So hopefully I got all these parts sorted out. Let's see what we've got here, okay? We've got this bulkhead here, which is as good as it's going to get. This little thing that goes on the shelf is in here. We've got this control panel, and we found one that's in good condition. We've got this control panel, which is adequate. Once it's painted, it won't show the divots quite as much. We've got this control panel, which doesn't at all look like the picture, but there it is. This set of lockers and bookshelves is number 26. We know that because it's not 27. There's the bunk. there's these set of lockers. Those are in good condition. This bulkhead is not great, but it'll probably do. It's the best one we've got, so I'll have to work on some manipulation of this. And then there's number 27, which I know is 27 because it's what it's marked on the other one. Has a hole in it, and I should be able to fill that in and fix it. So these parts, I'm going to go through them all again, but first I'm going to get all these kits off of my lap. Well, that was just really simple. I knew it was going to be difficult, but I had no idea it was going to be that hard to find parts that were salvageable. Okay, so I'm going to go through this all again. I've got the chairs, so I'm matching this up to the parts that are needed. These are the batteries that go down way on the bottom. Yeah, that was quite an adventure doing that. This set of lockers here, okay, it's got a circle in it. I can't ever do anything about that. I might try to fill that in and clean that up a little bit. It's one of those, bring this down again. You can see these parts better this way. It's got one of these circular mold marks. There it is. You can see it, and it looks like it's, sometimes they're raised, sometimes they're indented. This one's indented. So actually that can be filled in. So that's that. This is the bunk. Okay, that's good. Here's this bulkhead, which has got circular mold marks on these. These are raised up above the surface, so those can be filed off, because those are going to show the indentation on the locker. I'm just going to say they had a fight. They had a fight in the bathroom. What can I say? It was just bad. On this side, you're going to be looking at it from the side, and I might be able to fill that in and file that down a little bit, that divot there. Okay, but that's this part. This part here, I just need to fill in that hole. Otherwise, this is okay. Okay, a bunch of lockers. Lockers here. In books, again, a hole. A circular mark that needs to be filled in there and there. I'm going to try to do that. Chairs, these are in here. This bulkhead has all these raised circles on them that need to come off, but it's in pretty good shape except for the indentation there, but it's not like missing parts like the other ones were. And this side is really good. This control panel is usable as it is, which is a nice shock. This control panel is usable as it is once it's cleaned up. And miracle of miracles, this one doesn't have giant divots all along here. And so this is good. So I've got now, after probably, a whole lot of work fixing these up, like especially these little circles on the lockers and things. After cleaning these up, getting them to fit, they all go on here. And this needs to be cleaned up. I can actually, I'll just start cleaning them up. And filling in some holes and doing a little bit of sanding or filing. as much as I can to get them looking okay. So this is probably the only one I'm not going to be able to do anything with, where there's that dent in the lockers. This one I'm going to have to try something, because that's really a big indentation, but again, very small compared to the way it was before. So it looks like the bathrooms don't have any sinks, which is a little bit weird. They've got a bunch of lockers. This is the bathroom part right here. They give a sense of sort of how this fits together. This kind of goes here. The bunks go back here. Yeah, the bathroom is pretty small. The head. That's it. You come through this door, the toilets are here, and there's just a bunch of lockers lined up. And then I have no idea. This makes no sense at all. Why did they bother putting the fire extinguishers back here? Right? See that? They're behind these lockers. You cannot see that. This goes right up against the bulkhead here. It's bizarre. I don't even, and the painting instructions even tell you paint them red when this other little piece goes in front of them and closes the gap. Okay, where all the lockers come together like that. Here like this, there's more bunks. These are real handy. It's right next to the bathroom. A little sitting chair there, a little chair to sit on. This number 27 one goes here. That's handy, right? Right there, and right on. You can't get into your bunk from there when this goes in here. So that's there for a reason. And then there's lockers and books that go here. The same sort of thing. You know, I guess the lockers are like right next to your bunk. I guess that's a good thing. These parts don't fit. But of course they don't. That's all nice and cozy, and then there's this huge open area in front of it for no reason at all. That makes sense. And then there's another desk and some more lockers and a fire extinguisher. And this fire extinguisher is behind the bunks. Okay? Just like these over here. You can't see them. And they very carefully tell you to paint them red. But they're behind the bunk room. So you just absolutely can't see that they're there when you look at it from the side. But this is pretty, there's this big open spot up here, but the rest of it's pretty busy. There's little desks and lockers and all sorts of stuff there. So these go in here along with a chair. And then, this is where the pilots sit. This is their workstation here. And these chairs, the big pilot chairs, go there, there, and there. So that's really tight and close. This control panel goes in the back, which is just as well because it's kind of warped. It goes there, and then this goes here. Looking at it this way, and you see all these dials and all sorts of other stuff going on here. Yeah, so there's a chair here. All you see is the back of this panel, so that doesn't matter. This goes up here. There's a chair sitting at this panel here. Okay, I'm getting a sense of how this goes together. Again, just a lot of dead space here. Huge amount of dead space. And then this little spot here is the pedestal seat for the periscope, and the periscope tubes go here, here, and here. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's all this room here. They could have put these closer up front so you could see them, you know, so I go through all the trouble of painting all the dials and buttons and everything, and then they're way in the back, and you have to look with a flashlight through to even see these things. But that's the parts. So I'm going to inventory them again from right to left and put the parts in the part bin. This goes here. That's this. This is that. This is the bulkhead. That goes there. There's the bunks. There's the one with the writing desk. That goes here. Lockers and bookshelves. This is the one over here that blocks in that. And then this is the back side of this little bunk room where you've got another little writing desk and fire extinguishers you can't see. Yay. So that brings us here. These are the two instrument panels that are in pretty good shape. This is this one here. Okay. And this little bit, the little chairs and the periscope tubes and insert that goes on top of this table, which is in the bunk room. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. I have no idea what that is. 25. Sink. It's supposed to be a sink? Oh, you're kidding. This little thing is supposed to be a basin. It's got a circle on it. See if I could pull it out without losing it. Where my tweezers went. I'm muttering to myself, this kit is just insane. I have no idea why I managed to build this thing when I was in grade school, or how. So this, got it? It's this way. I was looking at it up backward. This is, the sink is not in the bathroom. Okay. The sink is back here in the bunk room, and there they are. There's two little wash basins. Okay. Goes on top of that, right there. This. I'm going to file that down just a little bit, but it's going to be painted. It's going to be painted the color of the other bathroom accessories. So there it is. There's your sink right under the lockers in the bunk area. Make sure we don't lose that bit. That's a whole pile of parts, hardly any of which fit where they need to fit. Many of which need an awful lot of cleaning up, like all of these circular mold marks on here, all around here. Some of which makes no sense, like the fire extinguishers, which they very carefully tell you paint red, and you absolutely will not ever be able to see them because there's a wall in front of them, like this. Okay. Can you see that fire extinguisher? Can you? No. Not even, no, not in the slightest. So, yeah, that was fun. Finding all those pieces, going through 3 different pits. Looks like I ended up, yeah, that's interesting. I ended up using none of the parts from the Ethan Allen, which is where this is from, because the Ethan Allen parts in some cases were even worse than the ones from the 3rd George Washington kit, and I ended up borrowing actually a lot of pieces from there. So the next step with all these parts is to file them down and sand them down so that the mold marks are gone as much as possible and that they fit into the floor. Okay, and then begin painting them, and the painting is going to be, you know, somewhat straightforward. Like these tubes, 2 of the tubes just get painted that kind of tan kind of color. The one with the periscopes will be painted tan, but the periscope handles and things, which you can just barely see here, they're little protuberances. See them? That's like where you look through. That's where you look through, that right there. Okay, and then these are the handles that you hold on to it to turn it. This is just a mold flaw that'll have to come off. Those will get painted a contrasting color. Yeah, the chairs need to be filed because the 2 halves don't match. So on Submarine Wednesday, forever now, I'm going to be cleaning up pieces, and in some cases making an effort to making an effort to fill some spots in, like this circle area on the locker, which is not, it's not good. This is one of the few pieces, when you look at it here, that you can look directly in and see, and it makes no sense for the locker to have a circle on it. So I'm going to try to fill that in and sand it and file it down and make it look not dumb. You have a cover for that, but I don't. All right, that was quite a chore finding those parts. I hope that when we do the gyro deck, I know where one of those is, there's just like a bulkhead and a base and 2 little things where the gyroscope is, that is easy to find. And we'll see. These are probably very badly molded, these 2 bulkheads, and I'll have to search through the other submarine models to get ones, the best of the 3, but they're large. Okay, so I should be able to find those. So when we go to step 5, which will be in another year, the way things are going, I'm looking, this is all I'll need to, oh yeah, the stupid ladder. The ladder that's supposed to somehow, oh no, there's two of these, seriously? No, that one goes here, just that ladder. This ladder is supposed to somehow, somehow be located there. Is there a slot for the ladder? I'm just looking at this going, this doesn't make any sense. There's no slot for the ladder. Somehow this ladder, this tiny little ladder, needs to be cemented in way back here after all these bulkheads and everything else are put in, okay? It's somehow located behind these chairs back here, it just says assemble ladder there. Right. It's tweezers. Right through there, just like there's almost room to get it in there. That should be yeah. This is Submarine Wednesday, and then there's this this is okay, except there's this circle here, and I can't tell if that's a raised one or a divot. Like inset, so I might try to fill that in a little bit. Yeah, I'm really glad I started this. I really wanted to do this because I remember doing it when I was a kid in like 7th or 8th grade, and it was a really cool model. Even my brother remembers it, my younger brother, and said, oh yeah, it was a really cool model. But wow. Well, let's go back to let me put parts. I'm going to put some parts away. But there's just so much stuff laying around that it is just asking for disaster. I mean, I can hear it. Disaster will happen. Let's have a disaster. You could just hear it calling out. Again. Okay. The other half. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Looking for the part of the submarine that I'd actually done and had actually been completed. I'm going to do a compare and contrast. Look. This is the difference. This is the difference between my torpedo room, okay, and the one that somebody was trying to make earlier, where they just glued the parts in. Look at that. This probably took, the better part of a half hour to do that. And this took the better part of like 5 hours to do that. Maybe way longer than that. Anyway, I'm sure it was terribly worthwhile. I hope you all enjoyed watching it in a relaxing way. This is the hull of not this submarine. I have to be off screen again. Sorry. Was that I submerged, and somehow better hope it's in here. Yep. The other half of the hull. So I'm going to go back to, I know you don't want to see this. Go back to this, okay? And let me show you what I'm up against next as I put these aside and bring back bring back my parts tray of done stuff. Things that look more or less done. So what needs to happen somehow. I'm not sure how is that. Okay, so it goes in here. Goes in here like that. This is the gyro room in here. And yeah, there's parts that need to be painted. That isn't painted. That's not painted. Lovely. So I need to do some touch up once I get these parts actually to fit. And this goes here. Then these slide into these. So what's supposed to happen is these are supposed to slide into these slots. And so when I was talking about trapezoids, okay, instead of, yeah, it goes like that. These fit in here, like that. And then this goes, it has to fit in here, in between those. But the way this all works is that a little bit of cement goes on the tops of these, okay? These do not get cemented into the deck. They just don't. Because this is just for positioning. So what I will end up, okay, yep, and see how, there, it's not straight, is it? This is why I need to fit it carefully. That is supposed to set on there. These go in here. As that very carefully sets. There we go. That's why I want to fit it all together. That's why I want to fit it together at one time, and it's still not quite lined up. There we go. So this is flush along here, but there's a control panel. I don't know if you can see it, but way back under there, there's a control panel. And this is supposed to fit under that and in that gap. So this is supposed to fit there. And you can see how everything almost, but not quite, fits the way it's supposed to fit. Yeah, so there's a gap in the conduits. Yeah, I'm practicing fitting this together, and it's definitely a challenge. But the only thing you can say is going kind of okay. Maybe it's because it's warped. But I mean, you can see how this fits here, and you can see how this doesn't fit here. And part of it is because this bit here is not fitting right. Because this needs to go, it's almost like it's twisted, right? Yeah, I'm just having a great time with this. There we go. Except that it's not there. So I can fit it. This is like it's a little bit warped. The whole thing is just a little bit warped, right? So it doesn't quite all fit together. and it has to fit perfectly together. Otherwise, when I put the control deck on top of this, the whole thing won't fit because it's supposed to just slide in. But that needs to be... Okay. So I can get it to fit up in front here. And that fits, there's a gap there, and that fits just perfectly. So right up near the bow, this whole thing, that will sit on top of there. This will sit in here. But then when you get back here, none of this fits. This doesn't fit into that slot, and that doesn't fit in there well enough. And that creates a gap of, actually it's a pretty big gap, because this is supposed to be in line with that little gap there. So we're looking at probably in the combination of things in terms of the warp and the gap, almost 1/8 of an inch. So this is going to become quite a challenge to get this to work. Yeah, I'm glad I'm messing around with this, right? I want to mess around with this for a little bit more because in addition to all of this, the hull, the inside of the hull has to be painted to match these colors. This is lovely. They leave a gap here. This is where the front end of the deck fits through the gap in the conduit really pretty well. If I were to just put the floor in alone, okay, just that, it would go like this. And it would fill, these gaps here, it would just fit into those gaps, and it would be just like that. Okay, that's how this would go. And it would be, that's a pretty good fit. Okay, that seems to work okay. And then just to give you an idea, this deck goes on top of it like this. And fits up against that wall. That goes to show you, see how much work I did to get the mess deck and how much you can't really see. Like, I mean, you can look back and see the kitchen. That's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So the fore end of this, the front, fits pretty well. The aft end will need to fit like this. That fits okay. But what isn't working, okay, what isn't working right now is that you can imagine, and these things need to be lined up. Oh yeah, they aren't even close. Look at that. Those are supposed to be in line with these tubes down here. And they're flexible, a little flexible. Yeah, I mean, we can make that work. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to see how this goes. And you can see that this mostly goes okay. But down below here, these things which fit into these slots, That one goes in. Okay, that's in the slot. It's holding up. Everything's in line. I'm going to keep holding this because everything is in line. Okay, and lined up. This one, which has continued to provide problems, doesn't. It just doesn't go there. Really much at all. So this one is going to require some significant work before I go very far. But what you can see here is that this is the bulkhead. That's going to be painted dark gray. That'll work. This is the bunk room. That'll be painted light blue. And you won't be able to see much of that at all. And I'm looking at this, and the only part you can see of this is straight back into the hallway and there, and I'm almost like a control panel back there that you can see through the door if you shine the light in. So the only part that really needs to be painted on this deck is the center part here, where that control panel is. Okay, and then this is painted green, and that control panel will be done because you'll be able to see this. So this fits, this part doesn't fit, and I'm going to have to manipulate that pretty significantly because it needs to fit well. And then I'll have to touch up the paint, like over here and a few other places. But you can begin to use your imagination, and you can see how that whole deck that I put together with the kitchen and the tables and chairs and bunks and everything, how that fits in here, and how the whole thing will just slide in. It isn't cemented in. It's just supposed to hold there by friction. And eventually there's a bulkhead here that will, I hope there's a little notch and everything. I will try to fit that together too, because that's what basically holds this together. So far, I've got, this is acceptable. You can see the toilets there. Imagine the control room is all built up here. Yeah, I need to paint the very back of that there. It's like I'm measuring from these things here to here, the light blue color with the control panel. So this needs to fit like this, just perfectly, just like this, and without any much variation at all. This needs a lot of work, and then I need to get the bunk deck in here somehow. But you can see why I painted the floors, because if you're looking at this model, you can see the whole ceiling. Here, I'll do it like this. You can see the ceiling of these rooms really quite well if you look at it a little bit from the bottom. Okay, well, now I know what I'm getting into. It's going to be this piece here, this bulkhead here, that continues to be a real problem. That's going to need significant work before I can get it to fit. So I'm going to have to do the same sort of fitting more than once. Okay. To make sure that it all goes together. Yeah, it's interesting. This one works really well. Just perfect, right? And then this one, not anywhere close. And then, and somehow or other, here, down under here, is where the ladder goes from one deck to the other. Okay, I'm going to take this back apart. This part goes with that. This comes out. This is very well behaving, very nicely behaving piece. Okay, so we'll say thank you for behaving, and we'll do some paint touch up before we install it. I mean, this is a naughty piece. This naughty piece is like not fitting anywhere at all. It's like the whole piece is too thick. Seriously, that's what it feels like, is that you can sort of set it in here and it's still rocking back and forth. It's like the thickness is wrong, but that leaves a gap that I can fix one way or the other, but not both ways. And I think I'm going to continue to deal with this by trying to make this channel bigger rather than trying to file down. Yeah. So this whole thing, I mean, this is just being difficult. No, I think I can leave that tape in there for a moment. And then this goes in here like this, but once again, that what leads me to think that this is too thick, that the piece itself is too thick, is that this doesn't fit in there either. So like this whole thing is not even a 64th of an inch, maybe even less than that. Too thick. That needs to go in here like that. Okay, well, that needs to be messed with. Let me set these things aside so I don't make them broken or worse or anything like that. And I'm going to work on the channel, this thing. If I can get it to fit in here, I've got a little time left. If I can get it to fit in here, that will be it'll move it along. I'll have to do some paint touch up, I guess, but so relaxing painting when it comes to the submarine model is most often filing and sanding. When we start working on the parts for the control room, you'll see that again, just how much manipulation needs to be done to get the parts to look good and to fit right. It's getting closer. Still kind of tight. Yeah, sorry about this. It's just, you know, really important to get these parts to fit because there's just no clearance or tolerance, really. The way this model is put together for parts that don't fit. At least I haven't broken this yet. Yet, I say. Yeah, I move the camera. You can't see what I'm doing. I am going to apologize for this episode of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons because, yeah, now that I've got this all painted and it looks really nice and all of that, trying to get these pieces to fit and finding out that they don't. And it's still in the center. This slides all the way through, okay. There's just like a little ridge in the middle where it's not. Maybe it's warped a little bit. And that might be that the floor is a little warped. Okay, I'm not sure I'll get much more done other than getting this part to kind of fit. Still. I'm saying it, I mean, I can get it there, but it rocks in the center. But when I take this, okay, and run the edge through, there's clearance, it's fine. A little tight in the middle, but not bad. But there's no room in the model for this not to fit well. If I take this one, okay, I slide it in there, it goes right in. Okay, and there's plenty of room there for it. But this one is just molded too thick. So even when the paint is off, I guess I can do that, is I'll just take some of the paint off. I can always touch it up when it's put together. getting closer. It's still not all the way, but look at it on this side, it's still kind of gappy. What I'm going to do is file here that I'm thinking the problem is up near the top here. Filing at the top. Yeah, once these are cemented in, I'll be able to get at it from underneath, and I'll be able to touch up on the bottom and the edges, because like right here, because I was taking the paint off the edges, okay, I mean, you can see that it's not painted there. Okay, this is getting much closer to working. Getting better all the time. Do is I'm going to get the last vestiges of paint off the bottom of this. Sometimes hard to see that. Yeah, nothing's on camera, is it? There we go. These needle files are very nice. Well, so I'm going to recap. Relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons, which sometimes involves painting, like it will on Friday. And I go back to doing minifigs. Okay. Is a production of Dyson Dungeons, which is a group of people who runs a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Sundays at 2. Please join in, especially with the live chat. Or you can catch old episodes on YouTube or podcast. You can just listen in if you don't watch, or as Alexis calls it, ear watching. Okay, this is pretty close to working now. And at least here. And then I need to get it to work in the hall as well. But if this fits here and it fits in the hall, you know, when I was dinking around trying to get everything lined up and everything like that, yeah, that's something that needs to be done later. So this goes here and here, and what we've got then is the is here. Well, this needs to go into here. That and fit tightly. And right now it, you know, it's pretty close. but it's not quite there yet. I'm trying to line it up to the way it's actually going to be in the model. Yeah, kind of like that. See, if you look at it here, there's a gap. And maybe try to take the paint off of that. Because I can always repaint it after it's put together. Or after it fits, I can, this little bit of an arc back here. It needs to fit into that slot. So Dyson Dungeons is a group of people who run that campaign, and we started doing dungeon tiles on the 3D printers, and as a result of that, then we started painting them for use in our stream, and that all turned out really cool. And then someone said, I think it was Alexis, our trusty dungeon mistress, who said, well, if you're just painting people, let's stream the painting thing. And it was like, really? People will watch that? And apparently some people do. Thank you very much, all of you people who are subscribers and followers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and then one day I ran out of dungeon tiles to do, and so started painting a Fink model, which some of you might remember from when I did the Fink. And that didn't go over too well. It wasn't all that great, I guess. People didn't enjoy it that much. But then I got permission to work on this submarine. And that's what I've been doing on Wednesdays. Now, that seems to fit. So I'm not going to mess with this much more yet today. But, well, I don't know. I'm lying. Maybe I will. So this is so the way this is supposed to work is that this goes here like this now. Okay. And then this goes here like this. And this whole thing goes into these little slidey bits here. Like that fits there. Fits there, and they don't exactly fit, and the deck has to line up there, and this lines up there, and that lines up there. This has to put down this. This has to rotate like this, so that it is in the gap. See if there's the slightest little bit of warp or anything. It just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. So that comes really close to fitting in there. And then this needs to rotate somehow. One side to work and not the other. You manipulate this feeling. See, it fits together on the top now, but This deck is still too high. It's like this whole thing needs to rotate somehow down. Oh, I see what happens. It has to go down in the back. And that's where this isn't quite working. It needs to rotate. This thing needs to rotate more before it sets in. So I've got the front of this where it needs to be, the 4. The aft is not behaving. This needs to if this weren't in there, there. So let me get the aft. And okay. So that this does fit somehow. But if this is fitting, then this is still not fitting, because that needs to go in there without pushing it out. So I might need to do a good deal of work on this yet. I thought I was getting somewhere because it's kind of fitting in there, but it's like it's too big here. It's too big on the bottom, and it's pushing this deck up, and this deck has to not be pushed up. Okay, so right now we continue to have a partially but not completely fitting thing. I'm going to stop now because I'm not getting anywhere with this bulkhead. So I'm going to put this down, and these pieces also, and say thank you very much for watching this exciting episode of I got a little bit of painting done on the bottom of this, and then tried to put pieces together and they didn't fit, and also got to spend half an hour looking for pieces to the control room that that will actually work in the control room, that will fit. So I'm going to cover these up, and on relaxing painting the next time around, I'll probably, between now and then, I might try to fiddle around with that one bulkhead to see if I can get it to work. It just is not working right now. And it needs to, because if that doesn't work, then the next deck won't work. And if that deck doesn't work, then this bulkhead won't work. And it's just a cascade of things. So, yeah, that's going to be an important bit to do, to get those parts to fit really nicely together. And if I can get those to really fit nicely together, then I can cement this bit together. I'll be done with the mess and bunk deck completely, and it'll be ready to insert, and I can work on the control deck. I can divert attention to, I can continue to work on the forward torpedo bulkhead here, and I need to find this piece here, back here, because that bulkhead will determine whether the rest of this fits as well. So I'll need to jump ahead, I know, to like here, and find this, and find one of them that isn't a mess. So, yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. That was relaxing painting, not very relaxing part finding. Quite a challenge for everyone. Wednesday, Submarine Wednesday. I'll be back on Friday, not doing this. I'll be back on Friday working on probably the base of the Otyugh, and then we've got, I don't know, looks like a an army of some sort of creatures. I'll figure out what they are, and I'll start painting a couple of those. Okay, so this came really close to working. It's just this one bulkhead back here that isn't, and once I can get that done, then I can paint the inside of this and find this bit, and then begin to make some progress again on the submarine. Okay, so thank you again. See you on Friday. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from more or less 10 until more or less 2. Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. Become a follower, become a subscriber, and if you care to, go to patreon.com/diceanddungeons and you can become a patron. So, well, at least I didn't curse. I didn't use any bad words or anything, despite the fact that things were going along, I thought, really quite well until they weren't. That's how it's been with this submarine. Thanks again. We'll see you Friday.